All right, welcome to our April 5th board meeting of the Humboldt County Board of Supervisors. May we have a roll call, please?
Yes, good morning. Supervisor Madrone.
Madrone, are you here?
We're doing roll call.
Present and accounted for.
Thank you. Supervisor Wilson.
You know he's there.
Supervisor Wilson. We're doing roll call. Are you here?
He'll be here.
Supervisor Bass.
Here.
Supervisor Bohn.
Yep.
And Supervisor Bushnell.
Good morning.
Thank you.
All right, so please join us in saluting the flag. All right, and just a little reminder of how we're running these meetings, or at least changes a little bit every week. If you're wanting to make a comment and you are at home watching this, just a reminder that you would need to call the number on your screen or on the front of the agenda. And once you call and you press *9, letting us know you want to speak, turn the volume off on your TV. Actually, turn the volume off on your TV or your video feed as soon as you call in, because you will find that there's a time delay and you will lose your opportunity to speak. It's a commenter's responsibility to make sure their hand is raised, and if we go back to the board to do the public comment, we won't go back to the phone. So I just want everyone to really be cognizant of that fact. You need to raise your hand early. And so with that, I think we can move forward. CAO Hayes, are there modifications to the agenda?
Thank you, Chair Bass. There are two modifications to the agenda. Item D11 will be pulled for discussion, and item D20 will be pulled from the calendar and will return at a date uncertain.
All right, thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar with item D11 pulled for discussion and item D20 coming back at a later date?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the consent calendar. Before we go to public comment, I did want to read one of the proclamations into the record. And we have several today, I think. But this one is the one for the Child Abuse Prevention Coordinating Council. And so, whereas children are our future and deserve to grow up nurtured and free of the maltreatment of abuse and neglect, and whereas preventing child maltreatment is a community problem that depends upon collaboration among agencies and individuals within neighborhoods and throughout the community, and whereas child maltreatment not only directly harms children, but also increases the likelihood of long-term physical and mental health problems, known as adverse childhood experiences, which come at great economic and social costs. And whereas child maltreatment occurs in families of all cultural, ethnic, and economic backgrounds, and whereas the majority of child abuse cases stem from situations and conditions that are preventable in an engaged and supportive community, and whereas child abuse and neglect can be reduced by making sure each family has the support needed to raise their children in a safe, nurturing environment, and whereas the current pandemic presents itself as a traumatic event that challenges a child's ability and family's ability to cope, and whereas there is a growing body of knowledge that primary prevention programs can stem the tide of child abuse, and whereas the Child Abuse Prevention Coordinating Council is focusing on supporting primary prevention programs in Humboldt County. Now, therefore, the Humboldt County Board of Supervisors, recognizing the importance of working together to prevent child abuse and promote the well-being of children and families, does hereby proclaim April 2022 as Child Abuse Prevention Month and calls upon all residents to increase participation in these efforts to support families, thereby strengthening the communities in which we live. And we will have someone that receives this during the public comment period. Anyone else wish to read any proclamations into the record? And this one is asked specifically to be read in the record. If somebody, you want to read the Grange one? I gave it to Kathy already, so I don't have it in my hand. There
Oh,
we go.
okay. As long as Kathy got it. I just,
Yeah, but don't come up yet.
you can, all right,
I was gonna
okay.
give it back if you want to read it.
Well, maybe someone will print it up for us and we can read it up here so we don't take it out of your hands. That would not be nice of us to take it from you. All right, Steve, anything you wanted to comment on any proclamations before we go to the public comment? Oh, yes?
I do after him.
Yes, please. Thank you, Madam Chair. So this is awards for the McKinneyville Chamber for 2022. And it's not a proclamation, but I just wanted to announce the award winners and thank them for all their service to our community. The Large Business of the Year went to Miller Farms Nursery. Small Business of the Year to the Bigfoot Tap Room. Home-Based Business of the Year, Orchids for the People. Nonprofit Organization of the Year, Big Brothers Big Sisters of the North Coast. Outstanding Customer Service went to Eureka Natural Foods. Excellence in Resiliency and Adaptability went to Six Rivers Brewery. And the Azalea Award went to the owners of Six Rivers Brewery, Meredith Mayer and Talia Natchson. So congratulations to all the winners. Appreciate all your service to our community.
All right, thank you. And before I go to Supervisor Bushnell, I want to remind those of you who might be listening at home, if you wish to comment on this item, you should have already called in and pressed *9 to raise your hand. Yes, Supervisor Bushnell.
Thank you. So I would like to recognize and read a resolution for retiring senior public health nurse Carl Varick. When I was in my younger years, I worked at Garberville Hospital, and Carl was my nurse. I was his helper. And so we're going to do, whereas Carl Varick was hired as senior public health nurse with the Humboldt County Department of Health and Human Services in October 2013, and whereas Carl worked in the Southern Humboldt medical community for more than 30 years before starting his position with DHHS, where he continued to be stationed in the area, and whereas Carl has been an active part of the Community Emergency Response Team, CERT team, and has helped to assist the volunteer fire departments to get training so they can carry Narcan, the opioid overdose reversal drug, with them on calls. And whereas Carl has provided nursing assessments, comprehensive care plans, and resources to many community members and is known by his coworkers and supervisors supervisors to be empathetic, compassionate, and creative in order to meet clients' needs. And whereas Carl has been an important part of the Southern Humboldt medical community and of DHHS, and his depth of nursing knowledge and kindness will be missed. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Humboldt County Board of Supervisors hereby recognizes, honors, and expresses their gratitude for Carl Varick's years of dedication to the county, his clients, and the community, and wishes him a long and happy retirement. Carl has been involved in the Southern Humboldt area and has lived there for many, many, many years, has helped, volunteered, and done community service or served his community in every aspect of his life. I sincerely appreciate him as a person and what he has brought to the community of Southern Humboldt, and he will be missed in that role.
And thank you. What I was trying to get used to this process, that when we read these, then people can talk under public comment. So I didn't want Sophia to be standing waiting. So she'll be speaking shortly. We're all learning. Supervisor Bohn, I think we might have the Grange one now.
We all got it. It's on our agendas, you guys.
Wait, you found it?
Yeah, I found it. So anyway, we want to recognize the Granges. We've got them throughout the county, and they've been pretty exciting the last 4 years, deciding who was a Grange, who wasn't a Grange, and too many lawyers got involved. But at the end, we have our Granges, and I think it's recognizing something that's been in existence since 1873. The California State Grange has sought to advance the interests of farmers, rural Americans, and our nation's families, regardless of where they might live, through the simple but powerful idea that by working together we can accomplish much for our communities. That by working together we can accomplish much for our communities. How appropriate. Whereas voluntary association with the Grange not only provides the benefits of economic and political cooperation for its members, but it also elevates their character by providing social, cultural, and educational programs along with opportunities for personal growth. Whereas the Grange increases the influence of each of its members by giving them the opportunity to serve their community through projects and programs that make a difference in the lives of children, youth, and our neighbors in need of assistance. Now therefore it be resolved that April 2022 be proclaimed as Grange Month in recognition of the contributions made to Humboldt County by Grange membership for years of faithful service, and we hereby urge and encourage our friends and neighbors to join us in this well-deserved recognition and show up for a pancake breakfast every once in a while.
All right, thank you. And just a reminder, I have no hands. Do you have any hands showing online? Okay, are they being entered into here? I'm not seeing any show up on here yet. But before we do, any other supervisors have anything they want to say before public comment, including Supervisor Wilson? I know you're there. Okay, apparently not.
I'm good. Yeah, no, I'm fine.
Okay. So Nikki, none of the speakers are showing up on my screen yet under view speakers. So
They're
yeah.
in there so I can call them, though. I'm
Yeah,
not sure
and
what-
hopefully we can get that to start so you don't have to do this all the time.
So first caller I have is call-in user 1.
If that's you, press *6 to unmute.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, welcome. This is on the consent calendar.
Wanna make sure
Let's-
This,
Okay, just want to make sure this is the consent, Tom. This is Ash Teeter here.
Hello, my name is Ash Teeter with the Humboldt Freedom Coalition, HumboldtFC.com. I'm speaking on the consent calendar, firstly regarding item 8, which declares that the county is following the stance taken by the state in regard to the continuation of the declared COVID emergency. I would like to once again point out that the emergency is based on faulty testing framed with faulty statistics and treated with faulty drugs being called vaccines that do not prevent infection or transmission of COVID. Our country is compromised at the federal level with the medical institutions, the FDA and CDC being financially entangled with the pharmaceutical industry. Our president, with the information and emails on Hunter Biden's laptop, now openly declared to be legitimate, and at the state level with the Governor Newsom's housing and China mask scandals. For these reasons, I once again remind you that those following these directives that come down from the top with this honestly decayed and corrupted system will ultimately lead to negative impacts seen at the local level, which is exactly what we have witnessed for the past 2+ years under these illegal un-American emergency powers. It is time to stop playing along with these infiltrators and the harmful ideology that is being pushed at the local state emergency and stop issuing extra COVID funding for the Department of Health and Human Services.
At this point, all of us have probably had COVID. Many of us had it with, like little to no symptoms, so it's not mild. We didn't notice it, even if we did have it. Along with ending the state of emergency, ending the medical discrimination that only certain people are having to take tests for COVID for something that anyone can get is just, something we should do. It's the just thing to do. I think you all may have said it recently in the flag salute, liberty and justice for all, not just the vaccinated. I will leave you with a clip of Fauci declaring that natural immunity is superior to vaccination.
Herself. And if she really has the flu, she definitely doesn't need a flu vaccine. If she really has the flu, she should not get it again. No, she doesn't need it because it's the most potent vaccination is getting infected yourself. Henderson, North Carolina.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So, Nikki, I do have some numbers now, so I think they're coming through. 0116, is that, no?
so Ash went in front of call-in user. I'm not sure what happened there. So
Okay.
now you have call-in user and then 7108
All right.
after that.
So call-in user 1. If that's you, please press *6 to unmute. Remember, if you're watching this.
Hello.
Hi, welcome.
Hi.
Hi, thank you. I'm calling on behalf of the North Coast Rape Crisis Team. My name is...
Oops. That was my fault. That was my fault.
Okay, sorry about this call-in user one. Did you?
I muted her on accident.
Okay,
so she's unmuted now.
Okay, we'll start your time over at 3 minutes since we kind of.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
It's okay, thank you.
And this is on the consent calendar. Go ahead.
Yes. So I'm calling on behalf of the North Coast Rape Crisis Team. We would like to thank the Board of Supervisors for your ongoing support of Sexual Awareness Month and the work of the North Coast Rape Crisis Team. Sexual abuse of children, teens, and adults of all genders continues to impact the lives of many in our community. And together we can work towards the vision of NCRCT, A World Without Violence. I would also like to add we have many events in the month of April for Sexual Awareness Month. For current events, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or visit our website. Again, thank you.
All right, thank you. I see one more. Is that correct? And if you're interested in making comment now, you should press *9 now, or you may lose your opportunity. We do have one person here still. It's 7108. And if that's you, press *6.
Yes, this is Bonnie Blackberry, and I was trying to download item 16 or 15, and none of the attachments would download. What came up was currently unavailable. And then this morning, just about an hour ago, those were able to be downloaded. I didn't go through the other items, budget items, to see if that was the case, but I think that's a real problem, that information isn't available until, an hour before the meeting. So.
All right, thank you, Bonnie. And I do think we had some challenges with some of the attachments this time. Is there anyone else on the line? Okay, I'll go to the public comment now to folks that are actually in person. And you don't have to wait for one person to leave before you do. If you want to stand at the side of the room, it'll move a little more quickly. Welcome. And you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good morning, supervisors. My name is Jan Bramlett, and I'm on the board of the Child Abuse Prevention Coordinating Council of Humboldt County. We thank you for signing this proclamation on the importance of our efforts to increase the focus on prevention and ultimately reduce the incidence of child abuse and neglect in our county. CAPCC has worked hard over the past few years to create our prevention plan, and we are proud that the county has decided to use our framework to expand upstream programs directed at primary, secondary, and tertiary prevention efforts. Recent state funding through the Family First Prevention Services Act supports a shift to more community-based projects that educate us and connect us and amplify access to resources before abuse occurs. And this is exactly what we have been working on. As part of this program, we will be collaborating with 17 family resource and community centers around the county, including 4 tribal sites, engaging in community conversations about the protective factors for healthy families and how we can work together to prevent child abuse and neglect. As we typically do in April, we are engaging in a number of activities around the county to highlight child abuse prevention. As customary, we will be raising the flag for child abuse prevention at the Boys and Girls Teen Center in Eureka at 9 a.m. on Friday, April 22nd, and we invite all supervisors and the public to join us. This year, we have engaged translation services to enhance our community outreach efforts. Our regular newsletter will now be produced in both English and Spanish. We are promoting Child Abuse Prevention Month with marquees and street banners in several places throughout the county. To involve the young ones in celebrating Child Abuse Prevention Month, the Child Development Center at College of the Redwoods will hold a pinwheel parade in Eureka today. This began last year and has continued, now becoming a tradition. The center will also be putting up a display for the Week of the Young Child at Bayshore Mall, where there will be pinwheels for children to take home. Little Learners and North Coast Children's Center will also have pinwheel displays at their site. On April 15th, Angelica Lua from McKinleyville Resource Center will be speaking in Spanish about CAPCC's mission and activities in an interview with Radio Centro, a show produced by Access Humboldt. We are also co-sponsoring a series of radio spots in conjunction with stations KINS, KEKA, featuring the theme of Truth Works, which encourages vigilance in our community for signs of children in need or distress. 3 organizations have been nominated to receive CAPCC's Children First Award this year in recognition of their work on behalf of children and youth. More information will be posted on our website and social media platforms about this. Thank you again for highlighting our work on behalf of Humboldt children and families and raising awareness of our child abuse prevention efforts.
And thank you, Jan.
Hey, Jan? Jan? You think God's talking, don't you, when you hear
Sorry.
that?
And normally
I don't
we'd
want to
wait-
go.
Normally, we'd wait till after the
Next-
comment, but yeah.
I know, but next year you can bring us pinwheels if you want. I love pinwheels.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
You can bring us pinwheels next year for the parade.
That would be great.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. And Sophia?
I feel bad I don't have any pinwheels to offer, but
I'm sorry, I'm even got you on the clock, sorry. But
okay, we won't
We'll
count
leave
that. Well, good morning, your board. I'm Sophia Pereira, Public Health Director, and I wanted to thank you for passing a proclamation in recognition of Carl Varick and also in recognition of Anita Fulbright. Carl Varick, as you stated, Supervisor Bushnell, senior public health nurse for Southern Humboldt, and he has done just an incredible job for our community. He has 47 years of experience in nursing, which he made clear to me he started in high school as a nursing aide. But, you know, he has a really storied career in nursing, as you so stated. He brought all of that experience into public health and supporting field nursing and nurse-family partnership. So we are just so grateful for Carl for everything that he's done, and we really have big shoes to fill with him leaving. And I also just want to recognize Anita Fulbright, who during the COVID response, she had been part-time. She came on full-time when COVID hit and really supported our schools and the superintendents. They had her on speed dial. She was staying abreast of all the new guidance and really was supporting our schools through that. And also a great immunization expert and really supported our mass vaccination clinic. So I just want to thank the board for your recognition of them both and we wish them all the best in their retirement. Thank you.
thank you, Sophia. Welcome, Kathy.
Thank you, Board, and thank you for the proclamation of April is Grange Month. Before I go, I want to address some of Steve's comments. Congratulations to the chamber members of McKinleyville. I know that Bigfoot Tavern, who I'm sporting their wear today, is congratulations, and to everyone else. And I know that Talia and Meredith are thrilled to be Grand Marshals at the Pony Express Days Parade. Thank you again for the proclamation of April is Grange Month. It has been much longer than 4 years, Rex. It's been a decade now that we've been going back and forth with which path do we want to go on, and we're staying strong with the state and with the national level. A little history on Grange. As the Civil War, the battles were fought on the farm fields of U.S. citizens. It was felt after that there was a need for a voice, how to come back to it. And the Grange formed as a result of farmers, individual farmers and rural communities to have a voice within their nation. And so they formed the Grange. And there were Granges in many locations. Granges were social settings for people to come together. They were a way for them to bring their issues to the forefront and bring them up through legislative matters, and to the point that the National Grange headquarters is across the street from the White House. That's how important Grange has been in our nation as we've gone through time. I would like to invite some of my Grange members to come up and tell you what Grange means to them. And I am the secretary at the Humboldt Grange, number 501, and I am vice president at the Dallas Prairie Grange, number 505. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kathy. Welcome to the next person.
Hi, my name is Kozanne Richardson, and I'm with 2 different Granges, both the Humboldt Hill Grange and the Dallas Prairie Grange in McKinleyville. When I first moved here, I had no idea what a Grange was, and it is now probably one of the most single important things in my family. We participate several times a month at both Granges. We do breakfasts and dinners, and we have game night, and it's the only thing that I've found in this county that every member of my family can be involved in at the same time. Most organizations and institutions we participate with want to slice and dice us by age, and so my grandson would be in one room and I'd be in a different room with the old people, and that's really not what we were looking for. We're a very close-knit family, and we wanted to participate in things as a group. And it has been a really important asset for my grandson who's in Boy Scouts. They provide opportunities for Eagle projects, and he has learned to cook on an industrial kitchen, which he thinks he might want to be either a lawyer or a chef, so that has given him opportunities. He's seen all the legal problems that they've had and read about that and learned a lot, and he's also learned a lot about how to participate with adults and how to talk to people and get things done. I just thank you very much for recognizing how important the Grange is. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And if you're speaking, just come on up after the other person leaves. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Logan Richardson. I'm the grandson. I just want to thank you for the proclamation for Grange Month. As she was saying, it has been a really amazing experience, and it's given me so many opportunities, and I've learned a lot being able to go, and I've gotten to interact a lot more with especially the community, and it's just been really fun, and it's been really awesome. I've gotten to learn more. So just thank you.
All right. Thank you, Logan. And is there anyone else who wanted to comment on anything on the consent calendar? All right. Go back to the board. Supervisor Madrone.
Thank you, Grange folks, and Eagle Scout projects, all those great things, such wonderful stuff. And as a fellow Eagle Scout, you know, the motto, kind, thrifty, brave, courteous, it's really good stuff that we learn as young kids. So congratulations to you and your Grange. Also wanted to put a shout out to the rape crisis team. They've been at this for a long time, and just an incredible group of volunteers that work so hard for our community to be there for people when they really need it with the helpline and other things. We used to help staff the helpline back in the 1980s, so they've been around a long time working with our community. So I just wanted to really give them a little more highlight there for all the work they do for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Madrone. Anyone else have any final comments? Supervisor.
I have my hand up.
Well, okay, I'm trying to, you're not showing up on my Zoom, but let me find you. Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you, through the chair. There's been a lot of great presentations from just so many, wonderful organizations and humans in our community. I just want to thank everybody. I also just want to have one point of clarification and correction. There was a misinformation put forward about vaccinations, and the quote from Dr. Fauci was related to the flu, as was pointed out in that comment. And the flu and COVID-19 are as different as a bird and a rhinoceros. They are just not the same thing, and so to relate those things is misinformation, and so I just want to clarify that. The flu is not COVID-19.
All right, thank you. Did you have anything? No other comments? All right. I think, Nikki, we're ready for the roll call vote, please.
Okay. Supervisor Bohn.
Yes.
Supervisor Bushnell.
Yes.
Supervisor Wilson.
Yes.
Supervisor Bass.
Yes.
And Supervisor Madrone.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0.
All right. So, looks like we're going to go to items pulled from consent. D11, is that correct?
That is correct, Chair Bass, and Director Beck
Dr.
with
Beck,
Health and
okay.
Human Services is here today to discuss.
Welcome, Connie. Oh, and before we start, I will say we apparently have a longer time delay than usual, like extremely long, like 5 minutes. So for any item, today we will go to the in-person public comment first before we go to the phone, because I'm understanding that people aren't hearing and it's being worked on by IT. But so I just wanted to give everyone a heads up to that change in process. Welcome, Connie.
Thanks. Good morning, Chair and Supervisors. The subject of this agenda item is requesting the County General Fund supplement the Department of Health and Human Services Public Health Fund for some funding that was not able to be claimed to our grants in public health. Travis Green is also on Zoom. He's our finance person. He's available for any questions that you may have.
All right. Who pulled the item? Okay, Supervisor Bushnell.
Yeah, thank you, Director Beck. I pulled the item because I had specific questions around the discussion is due to late posting of internal services and cost allocation plan charges to the general ledger. So you lost these monies?
Yes. So the fiscal years are 1920 and 2021, and the late charges were due to the postings just not happening. Travis can talk a little bit about the numerous times over the year that him and actually other departments, we've had multiple conversations about the postings and us unable to claim for reimbursement of those expenditures if they're not posted timely.
Thank you. The other thing that concerns me is, you know, our general fund is, we are looking at some reductions in our general fund, and having to lose monies for your department, for one, is crucial, but also having to pull from our general fund when we don't know, and with the raises that we just sent out, it's very concerning to me that that your department, but possibly other departments, will be leaning heavily on that general fund that we just don't know what we have in there. So if, is it Travis?
Travis.
If Travis could come on.
Sure. Good morning, Chair Bass and distinguished members of the board. Travis Green, Deputy Director of Financial Services for DHHS. The agenda that we have before the board today is a request for a supplemental of general fund dollars due to the loss of being able to claim for reimbursement at the federal and state level. Had the ISF and cap charges posted to the general ledger timely, we would have been able to include those costs into the claims for public health and been 100% reimbursed. So in effect, what happened is the county is now, in particular, at this particular moment, public health itself is subsidizing the federal and state government for programs that we're putting on their behalf. That's not the use that these dollars are meant to be for. We need to use these dollars for emergencies that are coming up for public health, expansions that we want to do for the lab, and every dollar and every penny we have counts to be able to meet and address those emergencies that we have in the future and currently. So we did, as Connie said, we checked in 1920, it was kind of a new thing for us. We weren't, it was kind of a surprise that things were being drug out so long and taking so long to post. So we were checking in with the CAO's office, who originates the journal, to give to the ACO on when those would post and what had been given, to see what or if anything we could do to include those costs. But for public health in particular, they have to show that those costs were indeed incurred by the department. So they have to show up in the budgets and the general ledgers that they have for the different programs. And so without the budget, without the ISF and cap charges posting to the general ledger, and then us being able to allocate those costs out, public health was unable to do that. So we checked in with the CAO on what they knew about it in 1920, and To our knowledge, they were checking in with the ACO and with Scott Johnson to try to get those done as soon as possible. I know another department was also needing those at that time. I think it was the ag department. And so that's kind of how 1920 went down. In 2021, we could see that this was going to be a problem again because we were so far behind on journals, and we were asking very early on what was going to happen and what was the status of the year-end close and how that was going to go about. We started inquiring of the auditor's office early after the year-end close, or the end of the fiscal year anyway. And then in particular, I started writing letters in September to the board and to Karen and to anybody I could get in front of to ask what was going to happen with the year-end close and what the status was of the journals and the timing in which they were going to be posted. And again, the ISF and cap charges were not done timely, and public health again was not able to claim those costs in its claiming processes. And so we lost additional funding and reimbursement from federal and state funding sources. And so again, here we are asking for a reimbursement on the losses that were incurred for that fiscal year too. And to my knowledge, only a few of the 2021 ISF and cap charges have posted so far, and I think many of the remaining ones are still left undone.
Yes, please.
Thank you. So the amount that you guys have lost, or the department has lost, is $381,482. Is that correct?
That's right. That's correct.
Okay. I'm wondering if I could follow up with my CAO and ask her how she feels about these funds being directed over to you guys out of our general fund and what that means for us.
Yeah, to your point, Supervisor Bushnell, this is certainly problematic. This is an expense that should not be the burden of the general fund. However, public health being funded through state and federal dollars, there's no way for them to recuperate these dollars. So, it's an unfortunate situation for their department as well. I'll just add to that by saying that this has been a perpetual problem for our organization for a number of years. The 1920 cost allocation plan charges were reported out numerous times to your Board of Supervisors, and you may recall we had a very lengthy meeting, I think it was 6 or 7 hours, that ultimately your board said we'll take accountability along with the auditor controller for the posting of these charges, and that was what finally got 1920 posted. For 2021, we have also continued to report out to your board on the delay in posting these transactions, and in fact, your board in November directed me to send a memo to the auditor controller requesting that she post all of these charges, and they still have yet to be posted for 2021. And as we all know, we're 8 months past the end of that fiscal year. So this is problematic for our organization and puts us at a great risk of losing dollars, which may become a burden of the general fund just to keep programs running and being effective for our community.
Thank you.
Supervisor Bohn?
And I have to ask, did we turn all the paperwork in properly, and have we had correspondence? Because I know this is deja vu all over again. It's your fault. But this is what we're going to hear, and I don't think people are. This is real money. This is $381,000, and I'm doing the math. That's 3 deputy sheriffs. That's 3. We're going to have to. We're throwing things at the wall, hoping we have enough money, and we're finding out that because we have no financial background, and it's not because of anything, but it's not getting done. But have we dotted all our I's and crossed all our T's? Because that's what we're going to hear. So I
think the CAO has an answer.
I can respond to that, yes. The cost allocation plan is approved by the state controller's office. So they have blessed the cost allocation plan for 1920 and for 2021. That is the authority we need in order to post these charges. your board might recall in fiscal year 1920, the county did go through a field review with the state controller, and there were some findings there. Accordingly, our office worked closely with all of the internal service departments to do a revamp of those charges, and we went through an extensive review process. There were more than 200 county staff hours allocated to this project, and we worked closely with MGO to ensure that our charges were very well vetted and complied with all state and federal regulations. So I'm very confident in the charges at this point in time. They have been reviewed and approved by MGO for posting. So the auditor has also received that documentation, and they have been vetted very well.
Something that I'd like to add, if I may, the Auditor Controller's Office is a central service department. All of the additional costs that have incurred in the last couple of years will eventually end up being charged to departments like DHHS for those additional costs, in addition to this charge and others. So all departments should and are concerned about this, and just the lack of county general fund to run our county. So thank you.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
I think every time someone sees something with public health that flashes like it's all COVID dollars or COVID related. This has nothing to do with any of the COVID funding at all. Does it?
No.
Yeah, okay. That's correct. Okay, Travis, thank you. I just wanted to confirm that because I think some people were going to key in thinking that was the case. So I appreciate that.
In the agenda item itself, it actually, it talks about the following programs being impacted: Dental Transformation Initiative, the local oral health program, Safe Care Nursing Program, Foster Care Nursing, Child Welfare Services Nursing, the California Home Visiting Program. So there's a number of programs that we have that are funded through CDPH that were impacted by this.
Okay, I just wanted to make a clarification that it was not COVID dollars.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Supervisor Bohn?
And I think, as I was reading the agenda, the first thing that comes to mind is the dental van going to the schools. And I think that's part of the program, right, on the oral health. And I've driven by 2 schools in the last month that says dental van will be here next week. And that is so important to the children's health, I mean, early health. And not everybody has dental care. And I know how important that is. And now, and with the cost of fuel and everything else, my fear is, and not to downplay your department, but we heard the same thing with Public Works starting to lose funding. And I don't know if we can support all these state and federal programs and losing funding now. If we have a catastrophic event, we can't go to FEMA, from what I understand, because we can't get it. And yet we still sit up here and argue about, I mean, we're getting to the point now where something seriously has to happen for the financial health of the people of this community. It's not even us. It's the financial health of this community, and now we're hitting the health and welfare. We're hitting access roads. So, I mean, I don't know. This is probably the most frustrating thing I've ever seen.
And before Connie,
Mine
before you
too.
answer, I just want to remind people, if you are listening at home and you wish to comment, there's a significant time delay. Please press *9 or you will lose your opportunity to speak. There's like a 3 or 5 minute time delay right now, so trying to let people know there's a little challenge happening. Any other questions for Director Beck? CAO Hayes?
Thank you, Chair Bass. I just want to add context around the purpose of the cost allocation plan. It is solely developed to allow our organization to pull down state and federal dollars. So that is the driving force behind the intention and the purpose of this plan. So I just wanted to be sure we didn't lose sight of why we even develop and spend our time on a cost allocation plan.
Supervisor Bushnell?
Thank you for that, Alicia. And Connie, thank you for the explanation. And I'm sorry for the difficulties your department and every department is going through.
All right, any other questions? Thank you. Is there anyone in, what? If you'd like, and then we'll go to public comment.
I'll make a motion that we approve staff recommendations.
And do we have a second?
Second?
Okay, we have a couple seconds. All right. Supervisor Bohn said give it to Supervisor Wilson. All right, so we will go to public comment for those in the audience. If there's anyone who's interested in commenting on this item, just come on up. All right. No one's coming up. So again, if you're on the phone, you should have already pressed *9. And we have one hand up. And it's 0116, followed by 3053. And this is on this one specific item.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, this is Ash Teeter. I know, like, while you said, or, multiple people said that this is not for COVID, and it is, for multiple other things, as I read through the attachment on the agenda, like file 22-373 in the attachment says, public health needs to preserve and maintain its funding due to the uncertain times in the community and with the COVID-19 pandemic in order to meet the potential and current future funding demands placed on public health services for the benefit of the community. So it is, COVID is wrapped up in there. So the DHHS lost money, and that is tragic. Hopefully they can recoup it sometime, but I don't know if I'm getting it from the county general fund is the best answer for this situation. Like just looking at the COVID emergency itself, it's not really an emergency anymore. You look at the state cases, like at the end of January, it was around 150,000 on average, or 150 per 100,000 on average. Moving to the end of March, it's more like 25 to 50 per 100,000 state average. Earlier, someone had labeled something I said as misinformation. So I'd like to respond to that real quick. Natural immunity is natural immunity, both in the flu and COVID, despite what media propaganda might say. And they actually changed the definition of vaccine for the rollout of these vaccines. So that's something that happened. Also, I'd like to mention that I recently submitted a public records request asking for the vaccination status, the COVID vaccination status of all mortalities since the rollout. And the response I got from the Department of Health and Human Services was concerning because they're not tracking this. This treatment they are recommending everyone gets, they are not tracking the people who die following taking it. So, I think if you're going to give them this money out of the general fund, maybe you should also demand that they track the vaccination status of people who die after taking this treatment that everybody is being, pretty much leveraged to take.
Hey, Ash, we let you go quite a ways through, and you kind of went, county council has just reminded me you went a little bit further than we're comfortable with, so I'm sorry about that. Thank you.
Well,
all right.
I'll leave it at that then, but thank you.
All right, thank you. And 3053, press *6 to unmute.
Good morning, Thomas Mulder here. Can you hear me?
Yes, Thomas.
So I'm just calling in. It's unfortunate that every meeting I seem to listen to, unfortunately there's some sort of money being transferred from the general fund because the county financial statements are not done. And everything, it's hard to say that's not about the auditor controller when she has the authority and the power to sign that off. So it's really cutting into taxpayer dollars. And it's really, really unfortunate. And for all of those that say it's not about her, she's making it about her. So she doesn't have time. My wife showed me a wonderful, corny video that she had time to go through after reading a 59-page document. I really hope she had time to go through 5 times as many emails and correspondence from county staff to get these financial documents dealt with, because we're on a sinking ship if we don't get this taken care of. It's super, super concerning. And, if you guys have any authority to go after her pay or anything like that, I mean, I know she makes over $150,000 a year, I think, according to the county website. Start doing so, please, because these are taxpayer dollars, and for someone that claims that they're trying to save taxpayer dollars, they're spending way more. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
All right, thank you. And there's no others, so we're ending public comment on that. And Supervisor Bohn?
I'm just amazed when I can agree with Ash. You're right, this shouldn't come out of the general fund. We should have our cap numbers, and we should be able to get reimbursement from the state and federal. But since we don't have those numbers, plain and simple, we have to take it out of our general fund, which is eventually, as all the departments are saying, we're going to cost us deputies and everything else. So you're right, this shouldn't come out of the general fund. We should have our cap numbers, which have been approved across the board, and we should be able to get state and federal reimbursement, which is the way we have done it for as long as I remember, till recently.
All right, thank you. Any further comments? Anyone? Supervisor Wilson, make sure I'm not missing you. His hand's not up either. Okay.
I'm good.
Okay. I think we're ready for a roll call vote.
Okay. Supervisor Madrone.
Yes.
Supervisor Bass.
Yes.
Supervisor Wilson.
Yes.
Supervisor Bushnell.
Yes.
And Supervisor Bohn.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0.
All right. I believe our next one is the time set for 10 o'clock, which is not 10 o'clock yet, so we have a 4-minute break because we can't start until 10 o'clock, correct? All right. Before we begin this item, again, we're having significant time delay, so if you happen to be watching this at home and you are planning on commenting on this item, press star 9 now, and then also turn the volume off on your video feed if you're watching us on the TV or on your computer. All right, so we're going to move on to the next item, and it is coming to us from the Planning Department, and it's an appeal, and this time I'd like to open the public hearing. I did want to ask any supervisors if there's been any additional ex parte communication with anybody from the project? Nope, nope.
I got emails.
Okay, well, okay, I think if we all got emails, so I don't think there's anything unusual that any of us got that the others don't have. All right, so this time this is how it's going to go. We're going to go to the staff report. Then we will go to the appellant. We'll go to public comment. We'll go back to the appellant in case there's a short rebuttal period. Then we'll go to staff, and then we'll discuss it and go from there. How's that sound, Director Ford?
It's perfect.
Has that worked? Okay, cool. I'll go to
Thank you,
now.
Chair Bass. Good morning. Good morning, members of the Board of Supervisors. John Ford. Joining me is Elizabeth Schatz and Stephanie Bowler with the Planning and Building Department to present this appeal of a lot line adjustment. Ms. Bowler will give more of the details. I just wanted to say this is a little bit of an unusual application in that normally the Board of Supervisors does not see lot line adjustments unless it's associated with Williamson Act or TPZ. In this particular case, the lot line adjustment is being appealed because it was denied by the planning staff. The lot line adjustments are ministerial actions that can be approved if they comply with land use and zoning. In this particular case, this does not comply with land use and zoning. And now Ms. Bowler will explain the details of that.
Thank you, Director Ford. And good morning, everybody at the board. If we could please pull up my presentation, Nikki, that'd be great. Thank you. Thank you for being here today. Today I'm here to discuss with you the Planning Division's denial of the proposed lot line adjustment, application 17465. The application was submitted on October 4th, 2021. and it was denied on February 23rd, 2022. The proposed project is located in the Honeydew area, just south of Old Henley Ranch Road. The lot line adjustment is proposed between APN 107-272.
I think Supervisor Bohn might have a question.
Just
Hi there.
point of clarification, since they've been there since 1871, it's Hindley
Hindley.
Ranch.
Thank
Just
you for that.
out of respect to them, so.
I appreciate that.
No,
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the lot line adjustment is proposed between APN 107-272-005, which is depicted on the right. It is approximately 48.4 acres and is zoned agricultural exclusive with a B-6 combination zone. The other parcel is 107-272-006, which will be referred to as Lot A, which is on the left-hand side. Lot A, in its entirety, was created as a recreational easement for the surrounding landowners in the subdivision. The purpose of this lot line adjustment is to move the current shared boundary line, which is depicted on the yellow line, to move that boundary line to create a building site on Lot A where one does not exist, and to comply with zoning requirements, specifically the streamside management area setbacks of the Mattole River, for a proposed cannabis project on the newly configured parcel. The black line is the approximate location of the changed boundary line. Please, this is approximate. The justification for denial. It's inconsistent with the Subdivision Map Act. The proposed project is also inconsistent with the general plan designation, as well as the zoning ordinance, and I will get into each in depth. Firstly, inconsistent with the Subdivision Map Act, specifically Section 66412, Part D. The local agency shall limit its review and approval to a determination of whether or not the parcels resulting from the lot line adjustment will conform to the general plan and zoning and building ordinances. As I mentioned before, and I will detail further, that it is not inconsistent with all of our required plans and ordinances. Therefore, it is not in compliance with the California Subdivision Map Act. We'll get into the inconsistencies of the general plan today. The lot line adjustment is not in compliance with the general plan, which specifically limits lot line adjustments on agricultural parcels to not create a new building site. The conservation and open space element of the chapter of the general plan specifically designates agricultural exclusive zone lands as resource lands. Standard CO-S-5 specifically talks about lot line adjustments on resource lands. Lot line adjustments for lands planned for resource production may be allowed to create logical management units where densities are met and there is no resulting increase in the number of building sites. As I mentioned before, no building site exists on Lot A. The lot line adjustment would result in an additional building site, which is not in compliance with the general plan designation. Now let's get into the inconsistencies with the zoning ordinance, specifically section 314-7.1, states the minimum lot area for the AE zone is 60 acres. As I mentioned earlier, the lot size of APN 005, the larger parcel, is 48.36 acres, and the proposed lot line adjustment would allocate approximately 8.4 acres to Lot A. The resulting parcel size would be 40, which is less than 60, therefore it would not be conforming to the AE, agricultural exclusive minimum parcel size.
Supervisor Bohn has a question.
But does it come into play that all the other AE lot sizes, that they are non-conforming, but they're already established? Would that be a proper statement?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, thanks for that clarification. Therefore, the proposed lot line adjustment is not compliant with the zoning requirements of the AE zone. We'll get into the B-6, the special building site combining zone. 314-17.1, the building site area as shown on the map of record. The lot line adjustment as proposed would result in additional building site that is not shown on the subdivision map of record. Lot A was created in its entirety as a recreation easement, and the creation of an additional building site is in a direct violation of the intent of the B-6 combining zone. So we'll get into the project approval criteria for lot line adjustments. Section 325.5 through 6, Part 3 specifically states the proposal neither causes nonconformance nor increases the severity of pre-existing nonconformities with the zoning and building ordinances. As mentioned earlier, the minimum lot size of the AE zone is 60 acres, and the resultant are about approximately 40 acres. The parcels are all existing non-conforming parcels, so this would further increase the severity of nonconformity for these parcels. In conclusion, the grounds for the appeal are not valid or legitimate. The appellant does not adequately address how the proposed lot line adjustment is in compliance with the general plan, the zoning ordinance, or the subdivision map act. The planning division also received 3 public comments. I think you guys got maybe a few after as well, from multiple landowners in the area that support our decision to deny the lot line adjustment. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions today.
All right, thank you. Do we have any questions at this time for staff? We will come back to them if there are some. Director Ford, anything you want to add? Oh,
Not at this time.
okay, Supervisor Bushnell, did you want to ask one?
Thank you. Hi. I don't think I've met you yet. I'm wondering if there is any way this would be appropriate, if there could be a zoning change, or if that, if there's any way that it could ever happen.
The only way for this to happen is to rezone the property, to change it from AE in terms of the land use, to change the land use general plan, to change the zoning to remove the AE designation and remove the B6 overlay. And I would just add one of the things that I asked Stephanie or Ms. Bowler not to put in the presentation so we didn't get too long, is that the property was specifically zoned AE with the B6 overlay as a result of the map in order to ensure that no additional building sites were created out there as a result of concern for lack of utilities and the lack of area to have adequate septic disposal.
So even if the zoning was changed with the use of a building out there, would it be appropriate, or would it be something that would be permitted, or no?
I mean, if the zoning were changed, it would change the configuration in terms of the regulatory structure, and this could be considered at that point. But short of changing the zoning, this is not something that can be approved.
Is that something that we conveyed to the applicant?
I believe it is.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so at this time we will go to the, I'm sorry, Supervisor Madrone.
Thank you, Madam Chair. How many parcels are there in the Hindley Ranch subdivision?
In the original subdivision, there was 20 parcels created, 1 for common ownership, which is Lot A.
Right. Fair disclosure, it's not a conflict of interest, but I lived on the Hindley Ranch in 1979
Oh, wow.
through 1983. And at that time, there was no public school in Honeydew. The only school was downriver in Petrolia, long way downriver with roads falling away in the winter. And so myself and a bunch of community members organized and created a private school in the area, and we did a fundraiser on this community parcel, specifically because it was there for all of us that lived in the Hindley Ranch for river access or for other types of community activities. And so we actually did a major fundraiser there on the community parcel for this school for the children in the community. So just wanted to mention that little bit of history that I have with the area. I don't believe it provides any kind of a conflict of interest, but I know that it has been used for community access for a lot of those kinds of things over the years. So just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Supervisor.
All right, thank you, Supervisor Madrone. And again, I did want to ask Supervisor Wilson because I'm not seeing the hand, I just want to make sure, did you have any question at this time, Supervisor Wilson?
Well, thank you, Chair Bass. I don't have any particular questions about specifically, except for the community parcel itself. I mean, I guess I'm just saying, based on the staff report currently, I mean, I'm in favor of staff recommendation to deny the appeal. I think the only thing that would maybe put me in the other direction in terms of the future is that if there is a need for actual public access for the community beyond the Hindley Ranch that may need access to the river or have need for more community space in the valley, that maybe that's a direction that might be explored. Thanks.
All right, Supervisor Bushnell, and then Madrone.
Thank you, through the chair. So my additional question, based on the accessibility for, I think it would be communal access. When I was looking at the maps in the staff report you guys sent over, it looks like there would still be access to the river through that parcel if the lot line was done. Is that true or not?
Well, the Lot A in its entirety was created as a recreational easement. It wasn't a portion of it. It wasn't, just the top access. Literally, the whole parcel as a whole is the easement.
But I'm not asking that. What I'm asking is if the lot line was to go through the public access to the river, would it still be there? Would you still be able to access?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, and then I have Supervisor Madrone and then Bohn, and then we do want to hear from the appellant.
So if there were movement to change the zoning or general plan designations and things like that to allow for the building site, would all of the residents on all 20 parcels have to agree to such a change, having been a covenant that was created when they all bought their parcels?
It's a complicated question that we would want to look at. This was obviously zoned at a point in time where the whole subdivision was zoned in order to address the concerns that were there in 1979 when the subdivision was approved.
Okay, great. I think it was very visionary of the Hindleys to actually do this. You don't see this very often in development, and back at the time, I remember talking with them about it, and it was their vision that they maintain this public access for the residents of the Hindley Ranch in particular, and whether or not it became a broader access in the future or another, those are certainly some other kinds of considerations. But having talked to them specifically, I know that was a really important part of their vision when they split up their ranch. It was not an easy thing for them to do, to split up that ranch. It was one of the first in southern Humboldt, along with Whale Gulch and a couple others. So it's got a long history. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Supervisor Bohn and then Bushnell. Yes.
Well, I spend quite a bit of time out there, and John, I think you and I were out there, 18 months ago? And on the other parcel relating to the end, there was quite a bit of pushback about anything more happening, to this, and the public access and a lot of different other aspects of that with a few of the neighbors there. So I've been going out there. I didn't live out there, but I have been out there quite a bit and understand exactly what we're talking about out there. And talking to the Hindleys currently and everything else, I mean, that the vision, I don't know if it was a vision or it was just out of respect and them wanting to have access. I mean, I think there's access behind the store. I don't know if that's considered public access. That's how I get down there. So I don't know if that's public access. I know there's public access through the Edders, but it's not public access. It's private access. So let me clarify that before I get everybody running down there. But There is quite a bit of access, not all of it public, you're right, but.
All right, so then I'm going to go to Supervisor Bushnell, and then we'll go to the appellant, which is the applicant.
Thank you, through the chair. I have one last question. So current ownership of this parcel is who?
The current ownership of which parcel? Lot A?
The parcel A that that the applicant is asking to lot line.
That is Danny Avi David. That is the applicant and the landowner.
So in the past, in 1970 or whatever year, was it held in common?
Yes, it was.
And when did that change? So, and my question reflects around, if it's not held in common now, then all of those landowners chose to sell to this applicant or to the landowner?
Go ahead.
And the property at the beginning was still held by the original property owners, so it wasn't held in common. It has a non-exclusive access easement to all of the property owners in the subdivision. So it was held as a separate piece. It does have its own assessor parcel number.
So can you answer, according to that then, on the property owners that have that easement right, is that still part of their easement right?
Yes, it is, absolutely.
So that still is included in their deeds, that they have that easement to the access to the river there?
Yes.
And do you know in those deeds, does it reference to the amount of that acreage there?
I believe it references it as Lot A, which is shown on the map as that entire area.
So does their deed give them the permission to access Lot A in its entirety?
Yes, it does.
Thank you.
All right. I think we'll go to the appellant. So yeah, this is your opportunity, and we'll have questions for you probably afterwards as well.
Okay. Is this mic live? Okay.
Yeah, oh, and actually, before you start talking, I do want to say, if anyone is watching this at home, you should press *9 now if you planned on to speak on this item under public comment. Okay, thank you.
All right. I'd like to thank the Board of Supervisors for giving us the opportunity to present our appeal. My name is Stephen Liu. I'm the consultant for this applicant, and here with me is Dustin Owen, their legal counsel. I'll be presenting sort of my analysis of the applicable codes, just exactly what staff went through, and our disagreements over the interpretation. And then if there are any particular legal points that I have missed, then Dustin will follow up afterwards. The staff has done a very detailed analysis of this particular case. It was presented earlier, and I just want to give some background to this particular application because there were some comments that were made earlier about whether or not certain information was conveyed to the applicant. I want to point out that the applicant did do their due diligence. Like, they did not just purchase this parcel assuming they can do all this stuff and bulldoze it through. We looked at the zoning, we looked at the title report, and then we also consulted with planning and building staff, which we were given the initial yes, based on our initial analysis, what you propose is supportable. And it's only after we submitted that this extremely detailed review came back with this proposal or this denial. And so this was a complete shock. And so we did not just submit this appeal and went through this process assuming that assuming that we could do this, just bulldoze it through. This was based on a lot of analysis before this parcel was purchased. The Subdivision Map Act, the county staff has cited Subdivision Map Act that requires a review of building ordinances, zoning, and the general plan. And I want to point out, let's start with the general plan, because a lot of what's cited, I think, is confusing between the interpretation of what a building site is, what a building site area is, and what is the general plan supports with respect to this proposed project. This proposed project does not involve the construction of a residence, and they're willing to limit this to purely agricultural activity that would not require an individual sewage disposal system. And so when you look at, and unfortunately the code, both the general plan and the zoning ordinance, does not clear, it does not very well define what a building site is. So we're looking at through this code to try to interpret what we're trying to limit. And if you actually look at the general plan designation for agricultural production zones, which was what this is, there are two things that are stated. There's a limitation on building sites, that lot line adjustments will not increase the number of building sites. And that is, and if it's further referenced under the limitations of conversion of agricultural land. And there's a further support for this project does not propose to convert agricultural land. It proposes to put agricultural land into intensive economic, or into economically viable use. And if you look at the section 4.5, agricultural resources, the goal, 4.5.3, the goals and policies, is to support agricultural production. It's to support economically viable agricultural operations contributing to the growth and stability of the economy and a strong demand for agricultural lands dedicated to agricultural production. So this proposed project entails exactly that. It's a adjustment, a lot line adjustment to allow an economically viable agricultural activity. Now, if you look at what's the limitations that are spoken to, it's regarding the building sites, number of building sites. The applicant is willing to provide a deed restriction or other restrictions to continue the limitation on residential development, which is the only thing that is listed with respect to the final map as far as a restriction on the use of this parcel, right? This is why this was such a blindside to get denied on this, because unless you go and do a public resources or a PRA to access this and interpret a zoning decision from 1976, no buyer doing their due diligence would ever encounter any of these, any of the facts that they're basing this denial on. And that's because when you review this from the zoning code, the general plan, and the land use that's assigned to this parcel, this agricultural activity would be allowed. Now we go to this other discussion of whether or not this particular this site was identified as or rather the zoning restrictions on AE and the minimum lot sizes. So the discussion that was presented by staff is that this lot line adjustment would increase a nonconformity. From section 314-7.1, the zoning regulations for AE, agricultural exclusive zone, it states that a minimum lot area is 20 acres. And so this adjustment is to reduce the larger parcel from, I believe, 48 acres down to 40 acres and increase the size of the lot A to 17.8 acres to support an agricultural activity. So from the reading of these zoning, the minimum lot areas, the one parcel would be conforming and the other parcel would become more conforming by increasing it from 8.6 to 17.86 acres. So if we're going to look at that, we would be making things better. However, it is not zoned AE, it's zoned AE with a B6 combining zone designation. So I think if you look at it, it's separate from AE. The creation of this subdivision, the Planning Commission and the County of Humboldt already determined that a 20-acre minimum was not applicable. That's why you have lots that are even smaller than Lot A in the subdivision. There's one that's, I believe, 7.5 acres. And so the decision to make these parcels non-conforming was already made by creating and recording this final map. The county has stated that that these lots don't meet a minimum, but in reality, we're making one lot slightly at 40 acres, another one slightly larger than it originally was. So all these the lot line adjustments occurring within the approved subdivision. So there's really no net conversion of area, so to speak. There's a comment on whether or not this lot was developable. Now, whether a lot is developable, I have not, other than a restriction on residential use, that's the only reference I could find in county code. Whether a lot is developable is going to be based on topographic limitations. It's going to be based on, whether it can perk, setbacks, whether it's forested, and whether or not the proposed land use allows conversion of timber, et cetera. I don't believe that there's any other restriction on this. There's no restriction on this lot for development. To claim that this is not a subdivision, we're not creating a new developable lot. The lot is already a legal lot to be used. And the restrictions with respect to building sites that are being cited are to prevent conversion of agricultural activity or agricultural land to other uses when this project is proposing a legal conforming agricultural use. The proposed project is allowable in both AE and AG zoning, so I don't believe we need to do any form of rezone. And by lot line adjusting from one B6 zone parcel to another B6 zone parcel creates no net change of formerly zoned areas. We're not, for example, proposing adjusting a lot that was occurred outside of this subdivision. Everything is occurring within the confines of an existing subdivision. The comments that were made that there is a recreational easement that would be impacted by this operation, the proposed agricultural activity is going to occur entirely outside the footprint of the existing easement. That easement will remain. It's going to be for the benefit of the landowners. And if there's actually a desire, we can discuss with the applicant about creating a open space dedication for more than the existing property owners to create another opportunity here for public access instead of just being restricted. And the easement itself is non-exclusive, which means that the landowner can use that land as long as it does not interfere with the recreational easement and other individuals or lots that have the access to that easement. And by citing the agricultural activity outside the easement, really the only use or potential interference would just be a few cars driving there for workers per day. So it's not, the operation, the proposed project will not interfere with the use of that easement at all.
I was going to check, and Stephen, when you're done, Dustin, do you plan to add some as well?
I would like to.
Okay, and I just wanted to say that we won't ask questions, and we'll go to public comment, we'll come back, and then we'll go from there. So, ask me a question? Yeah. With them, yeah.
So before we go to public comment, will you have allowed Dr. Ford to respond?
Oh, yeah, or he may want to respond after public comment, too. Okay, yeah. All right, sorry, I just wanted to check because I saw Dustin moving his paper around, so I wanted to make sure.
Sure. I think I've made the points I've been trying. I can summarize, or if it's pretty clear. I think from the Subdivision Map Act, we're looking at the zoning, we're looking at the general plan, we're looking at building ordinances. The zoning does not preclude this activity. The general plan is in substantial support of this. And to interpret a limitation on building sites and conversion of agricultural land when the intent of this general plan is to support economically viable agricultural activities, we're trying to increase the size of a parcel to enable economically viable agricultural activities. It seems like we're sort of torturing it to deny this instead of supporting what the goals and policies of the general plan are, which is to enable agricultural projects like this.
All right, thank you. Welcome, Dustin.
Thank you, Board. I just want to briefly comment on some of the issues. I believe Mr. Liu already addressed them, but I'm just going to try to clarify some. Initially, the only restriction on the development of this parcel by the original subdivision or the map is residential use. and we're not proposing building a residential building or anything like that. There are non-exclusive easements for recreational use on the area that is currently described as Lot A. Our proposed development not only wouldn't interfere with those, but it is entirely on the portion of land that would be added. It does not even propose development on the portion of land that is currently described as Lot A. So in no way would it interfere with the easement or existing access to the river. I would note that this is not a subdivision. A subdivision by the Subdivision Map Act is defined as something that creates more parcels following the completion than existed beforehand, and lot line adjustments are specifically exempted from the Subdivision Map Act. Lot line adjustments are ministerial. The county does not have discretion to deny them as long as they meet the requirements of the applicable zoning and general plan. And this project does in fact meet those requirements. I would note that staff cites section 314-7.1 of the Humboldt County Code as having a 60-acre minimum. In fact, anyone can look at it. It has a 20-acre minimum. Rather than increasing a nonconformity with the applicable zoning regulations, this project would decrease an existing nonconformity by increasing the 8.5 acre parcel A or Lot A to approximately 17 acres. And I also wanted to reference the B6 overlay because it's a little bit confusing. What that B6 overlay actually says is that building site areas shall be as they are on the subdivision maps that created the subdivision. It doesn't limit the number of buildable lots or the number of buildable parcels. It just says you have to build in the same areas that you'd be able to build on based upon the map. And we are proposing development on areas that are already developable. The whole purpose of the general plan provisions concerning agricultural uses is to keep those properties zoned for agricultural uses in agricultural use. And that's exactly what we're proposing. We're proposing a lot line adjustment that would allow Lot A to be used for agricultural purposes. And again, it's only on the portion that's not already designated to an easement. So I think that's all the comments I had, and I'm glad to answer questions.
All right, well, we'll come back for those questions. We will go, and Director Ford, you said we'll do public comment, and then we'll come back, and we will give the applicant a chance to, if you hear something you wanted to respond to. All right, so we have two people with their hands are not up on the phone. There are two call-in members. If you are wanting to talk on this item, press *9, or you're going to lose your opportunity. We do have a couple people in the audience. Were you interested in making public comment on this? All right, and there's a 3-minute time limit, and it'll display right behind me, so. Welcome.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Jim Badone, neighbor. Two things. We don't have access to this property like we're supposed to. For the last 10 years, we've been denied access to it. And this is an extension of what Danny Davey tried to do a year or so ago. They just want to have a bunch of greenhouses on that piece of property, and they're changing the lot line to do what they wanted to do. They have not been good neighbors. They've not done the road association. They've not put in solar. There's a lot of stuff that they planned to do last time that just none of it has developed. They've only grown pot there, and that's all they want to do. They're not our neighbor. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jim. And there are no hands up. Do you see any hands up? Okay, we've got one. All right. And there's one other call-in user, so if you want to talk, you better press *9. So 7108, press *6 to unmute.
Yes.
I had a question. If they're only going to use, if they do the lot line, they're not going to use the area that they want to make bigger. Why don't they just use the area that they already have without the lot line? I'm just not, that's very confusing. And I support the neighbors. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Bonnie. All right, no other hands are up, so we'll go back. Again, is there anything else the appellant wanted to add? Because once we go get the staff comments back, then you'll only be responding to questions that we ask directly. So I just want to make sure, was there anything you didn't tell us you wanted us to know?
Yeah, I would like to respond to the comment about not having access to the lot for past 10 years. The property was acquired by the current landowner sometime in 2020, and I don't believe he has received any comments about access to the property. There's an easement, and so if there's any specific concerns from the holders of those with rights that access, we will work with the applicant to provide the required access to the site.
And just so it's clear, the previous owners was Bob Shen, so I'm not sure why.
The deed of record was recorded in February of 2020, so this is a more recent landowner, and this has not been brought to his attention at this time. So.
All right, thank you. So this time we will go back to staff for their responses, and then we'll go to Supervisor Bushnell will be the first. Oh, yes, sir.
I'd like to ask a question of the neighbor, if I could, please. If they could come back up.
We don't usually do.
Oh, yes, we do. We allow board members to ask questions of people who come to the mic. It's happened many, many times.
Actually, I don't think so, but go ahead. You seem to know
just
better, so go ahead.
In the interest of clarifying, I think we'd all like to hear what are the details of preventing access, if you could just
Fences.
Gates and fences.
It's totally fenced in now.
Yeah,
When
I remember.
we first moved there, we could walk around from our property around the ranch all the way into that place and use it.
Yeah, I remember people used to go down at the bridges behind the store there that Bobby Shin also owned, and that's all been fenced off, and that access has been eliminated
Yeah.
now. And that was sort of a general public access, and with the county has a right-of-way there, that as long as you're right next to the bridge, you're within that right-of-way, but that's been fenced off and blocked off for the last
Yeah,
10 years
well,
as well.
If we have access to it, no one wants to use it.
Mm-hmm.
If you got greenhouses, fences, people shooting guns, what's that mean to you? You don't go there.
Thank you for the details.
All right, so, well, since you're up here, Mr. Bohn, Jim, Supervisor Bushnell, we will I want to talk with the attorney later after this. This is not normally what we do, but I know on Zoom we did it a few times, so Supervisor
Hi,
Bushnell.
Joan. How are you? I'm wondering, how long has the gates and fences been up?
How long is what?
How long have the gates and fences been there?
At least a decade.
Do you know if the gate is locked, or are you able to go through without a lock?
You can walk around it, but it just says no. It says, don't come in here.
Yeah. Do you know if there's a lock on that gate?
I don't actually.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah. There used to be a path right next to it, though.
Like a walk path to the river, but Elizabeth, access is drivable, would be drivable, do you know that? Thank you, Jim.
And apparently Supervisor Bohn wants a question also, Jim.
No, I don't have.
Just do circles.
I don't have a.
Good talking to you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have a question.
This is not our normal process, but.
I think we've been through this. We've been down to the site. I've been down to the site and
I mean, honestly, doesn't it
you
seem
know.
like this is just an extension of what we did a year and a half?
And that's my problem with the whole process. It's a circumvention, and no offense against Stephen or Dustin, but I was at the site. We had a kumbaya moment where we were gonna.
Actually, Supervisor Bohn, I mean, I appreciate this. That might be better for when we get back to the board. Let's get our questions, and we'll have. But I will go to you right afterward. Director Ford.
Thank you, Chair Bass. So I want to just address a couple things. One thing by the public is that as the board will recall, the 006 parcel was the location of a very controversial appeal that also came before the board relative to a special permit to approve cannabis cultivation. The board scaled that cultivation area back as part of the approval on that.
I'm asking for the map to be brought back up. I'm sorry.
Oh, can you bring?
That process?
Oh,
Thank you.
oh, there we go.
Does this have a pointer on it?
Oh, yes, it does.
So, it shows everything else but on the screen. I can't get it. So the area that basically is surrounded by the yellow and the black, the area of the, the area of the lot line adjustment was contemplated for expanded cultivation as part of that application. And that area, the area of cultivation was reduced as part of that, so that there was not the same amount of cultivation that was originally proposed. I just want to make that real clear. When the neighbors talk about the previous application and what was going on there, there was more cultivation proposed on the 006 parcel, but that was cut back by the action of the Board of Supervisors. Then I wanted to indicate that I think that the appellant, the applicant, are looking at the wrong general plan and the wrong zoning ordinance. Because in 2017, the general plan was amended to require a 60-acre minimum parcel size. This is in the resolution. It was on October 8th of 2017. Prior to that, the zoning ordinance allowed a minimum 20-acre parcel size. On August 27th, 2019, with ordinance 2635, the board adopted a minimum parcel size of 60 acres. That is the ordinance that is now in effect. So when we say that the minimum parcel size is 60 acres, we're referring to the ordinance that was adopted and became effective basically September 27th of 2019.
Thank you. So according to that update, then the only way to get to this lot line would be through a zoning change?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Supervisor.
I think that is the most profound element of this where there is an inconsistency. But I would also say that when you take a parcel, such as Lot A, that's currently encumbered with an easement and encumbered with a streamside management area, and you add area to it, you are creating a development site. Because currently, even if you want to argue that it's a non-exclusive easement, it's still encumbered with an SMA. And so the purpose of this is to create a development site on the parcel. We would be very troubled to argue that now creating a parcel that has area outside of the SMA, outside of the easement, is not a developable parcel. That would be consistent or inconsistent with the B6 overlay.
I have two questions. So what would be the conditional use, what would be the reason for the structure?
I'm sorry, the reason for this.
The structure, what is it going to be used for? Is it ag or is it residential? What?
So I want to be clear that the lot line adjustment really is focused on the lot line adjustment.
Not on the use of a structure?
I mean, if they want to voluntarily put a restriction on the parcel that it's only ag related, that would address that component of it. However, reducing the other parcel from 48 acres to 39 acres is inconsistent with the AE zone and increases the nonconformity, which is inconsistent with the zoning ordinance.
So your basis of denial is not based on the structure at all? It's
Not-
based on the, okay. So I would like to ask Stephen if you guys could respond to what Director Ford said, that you possibly were looking at the wrong general plan.
I have a page. I have it highlighted, and it's
Can-
part of the exhibits. I did send it to Nikki. So let me pull up the reference, and we can pull that page up. And it states the August or October 23rd, 2017 date is on there.
What, excuse me, you said the 2017 date?
Correct, yeah.
But we're operating, I heard Director Ford say 2019.
It was ordinance 2635 adopted on August 27th, 2019.
Which then supersedes.
So the incorrect information is still maintained on the county
I pulled that off the
website.
county website.
All right, so, well, I think Nikki, did you have that you were able to scroll through and pulled up?
Sorry,
And
Chair
then
Bass,
Super-
I'm just waiting to see which one it is he wants pulled up.
There may be a conflation between the dates between 2017, which was the date of the general plan amendment, and an ordinance that changed the zoning classification. But I can tell you, I pulled the zoning classifications off the county's website this morning, and it said 20 acres, so perhaps there's an ordinance that sort of
Well, and we should probably have you at the microphone. I don't, because it doesn't pick you. I heard you, but, I mean, Supervisor, do you mind if Supervisor Bohn asks a question? Okay, Supervisor Bohn.
Even if we approve this, we're still not at 20 acres, right? You're at 17.
Correct, but this subdivision was already subdivided as non-conforming parcels.
Fully, it was.
Right. And
It
so-
was backed by the Bryceland Corporation a
Yes.
long time ago. I fully agree, was.
And
But
this-
whether it's 60 or 20, you're still not there. And I guess what is it? Hand grenades and horseshoes, you can come close, but I know that in this situation, we're still quite a bit of ways, so. I don't know. I don't know. I tend to believe that we're circumventing a process that we met out there to talk about 18 months ago or 12 months ago, I didn't look it up, but about limiting what was out there. So I think that's the problem I have. Let's try this. Let's try this. And as was stated by my emails that I got from neighbors and everything else, it feels like a bait and switch to all of them. And as I've said in a lot of these things, you get a lot farther if the neighbors say, I don't see a problem. But I don't have any of the neighbors saying, I don't see a problem. I see neighbors saying they have a problem. And I have nothing else to go by than what the neighbors are saying. And so.
All right, so Director Ford, did you find that document that there?
I'm just waiting for him.
Would there be any
Oh.
benefit to having a break, Director Ford, so that you could talk with them and maybe you could sort out what is?
Sure, that'd be great.
Okay, thanks. Instead of everyone trying to do it separately. All right, thank you. So maybe let us know when you have it. Is that okay? Okay. Yeah, as we're both trying to do it, I think there's a fundamental miscommunication. Did you want to? Okay, I'm just going to take a few minutes
Okay.
break.
Where do you do this?
Yeah, is that okay? You'll come back to you first, or do you want it now? Okay.
On their website, under the ordinance, if you click on it.
Okay.
But it's not on their zoning regs.
Yeah.
Let's just say 5 minutes, come back at 11. All right, so we took a brief break to see if there could be some clarity and understandings. Director Ford?
Thank you. We do not have clarity of understanding, and rather than to continue and bat this back and forth, I would ask for a continuance to the meeting of May 3rd.
I think there's a question. Supervisor Bushnell?
What would the basis be that you would continue?
Because I want to more fully understand what the applicant is trying to argue and be able to discuss that with legal counsel.
Okay.
Supervisor Bohn?
So what we're deciding if it says 20-acre minimum or 60-acre minimum?
From staff's perspective, it's extremely clear that it's a 60-acre minimum.
Okay.
From staff's perspective, it's extremely clear what the B6 means.
Okay.
I think the applicant has come to a different understanding of what the zoning ordinance says. And before putting the board in a position of taking action on something, I want to allow county counsel's office to weigh in on two different interpretations.
So when
Supervisor Bohn was still talking, then Supervisor Bushnell.
So
then
even
Madrone.
if we said yay, gay, go for it, everything else, we're still going to be only at 17 acres? That's the clarification. We're still not going to get either of the parameters that you've set.
So when it comes to a nonconformity, you can take an action that makes a parcel more conforming. You cannot take an action.
Director Ford, hold on just a moment. I'm getting hand signals saying,
Yeah, Mike can't hear through Zoom.
okay, Supervisor Wilson
The
is,
clerk needs to turn on her sound. Okay.
Supervisor Wilson, can you hear us now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Did you hear any of the other stuff?
I don't know. I did not hear it. Sorry. As you know, there's a delay, so the feed doesn't come in on the video until a few minutes after you guys start talking.
Okay, so we'll give a quick recap from Director Ford, then we'll go to supervisors. You're still on Bohn, Bushnell, and Madrone.
I was just mentioning that there is a fundamental disagreement between the staff and the applicant, which probably is fairly conveyed in the staff report. I don't know that we're going to come to a common meeting of the minds. The zoning ordinance does clearly say it's a 60-acre minimum, but then it has some weasel language in it that could allow the board to consider a smaller parcel size.
Okay.
And so what I was just explaining to Supervisor Bohn was that while neither parcel will ever get to 60 acres, on the one hand, increasing one parcel size that's already non-conforming is not inconsistent with the zoning. It's fine through a lot line adjustment to make something more conforming. The problematical part is to take a parcel that's 48 acres, reduce the size to 39 acres. That increases the nonconformity. I think what the applicant wants to argue is that this is for agricultural purposes. The fact of the matter is that it could be for agricultural purposes, but in this case, it's for cannabis purposes. And that's not necessarily something we consider, but it's like I want to at least give that applicant the opportunity to try to argue from the perspective of the 2019 zoning rather than from what they were perceiving as the zoning, which was a 20-acre minimum. So their arguments have not been based upon the current information that's available.
Okay, Supervisor Bohn, were you still asking, or can I Supervisor Bushnell and then Madrone still online?
How many square footage are we talking about on the 8-acre parcel then? And it doesn't matter if it's an 8 or 8, 10, 12, 17. Is this just I'm going to move this over from what we didn't get last time over to this parcel? Is that comparable, or is there?
So basically, yes.
Supervisor Bushnell?
Thank you. So earlier, Director Ford, you had said that consideration of what the parcel was going to be used for was not in question. It was, the lot line was in question according to the general plan. You just said something different, so can you explain?
So the lot line adjustment, the language that we were just looking at that's in the zoning ordinance allows a smaller parcel size if certain findings can be made. That's something that the applicant or appellant should have the opportunity to respond to, since they weren't looking at that provision of the zoning as part of their appeal.
So then I'm going to ask you, what is the intent of the lot line?
The intent of the lot line adjustment is to create developable area outside of the SMA and outside of the existing easement so that they can apply for and receive approval of a cannabis permit. That's why they indicated a willingness to restrict the parcel to not have any residential development. Thereby, their argument would be that that satisfies the B6, no additional building site areas.
Thank you.
Supervisor Madrone, then back to Bohn.
Well, I'm in complete agreement with Supervisor Bohn that this feels like an end run, and we visited all this a year ago, and there were lots of issues about the community there and their concerns about what was going on, and we dealt with that as a board and moved that forward. I think part of the problem here is that there's some confusion because we updated our general plan, but we have not yet updated our zoning ordinance to match the general plan.
No,
And so
this, I'm sorry, Supervisor Madrone. It has been updated to reflect that.
that area has, but not all of the
Yes, yeah, the
zoning?
text has, yeah.
The text has, I'm
Yes.
sorry, that's correct. We did the text amendments, but we have not updated the zoning application to individual parcels yet.
Correct, and I don't believe that this is affected.
Okay, okay, great. Thank you for that clarification.
Supervisor Bohn?
I'll make a motion that we extend it to, what, May 3rd?
May 3rd.
To May 3rd to,
I'll second. Oh,
Okay, we have a motion, a second.
I'm just not available on May 3rd because of a jury trial. If we could go a different day, that'd be preferable.
It's hard to say on our meetings these days.
February 7th.
February 7th?
on Monday?
Director Ford, how much time would you suspect you need? Perhaps we say a date's uncertain, and you can come up with a date. Would that work?
Well, I just hate to have to
Yeah, okay.
not have the public be notified. Can we go back to May 10th?
Through the chair, I have a clarification question.
Yes, thank you, Supervisor Wilson.
Yeah, I must have just missed the part about the delay and the purpose of the delay.
Oh, Director Ford?
Thank you, Chair. So the purpose of the delay, Supervisor Wilson, is the appellant was not looking at the current version of the zoning ordinance. And there are some provisions in there, I think, that they would like to bring to light and discuss. And I think there are things that we would like to discuss with them and have legal counsel look at that and make sure that before the board takes an action that all of those issues are thoroughly addressed.
So through the chair, Director Ford, are you saying you don't believe that then the applicant has received their due process?
Yes, in short, that's correct.
Okay, thank you. That's all I need to hear.
All right, so we do have a motion and a second. Any further conversation? All right, I guess we'll do a Supervisor Bushnell.
I'm sorry. So as this would be a continuance, would there be public comment again? And I'm asking for the people in the audience and others.
Because there'll be new.
There will be new information brought back, so yes, there will be public comment again.
Thank you, Director Ford.
Thank you, Nikki, please.
Okay, Supervisor Wilson,
Yes.
Supervisor Bass,
Yes.
Supervisor Madrone,
Yes.
Supervisor Bohn, and Supervisor Bushnell.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0.
All right, so I'll close that public hearing. Thank you all for your time today.
Thank you.
And we have several closed session items, so County Council Billingsley. I think he's closed session. Okay. So yes, we do, but yes. All right, it's one of those days. County Council Billingsley.
Yes, thank you, Chair. It's the intention of the board to meet in closed session on 4 items. The first 3 are pursuant to Government Code 54957 to consider public employee appointment for the position of county surveyor, agricultural commissioner, and county council. The last is pursuant to Government Code 54956.9 D1 to discuss existing litigation in the case Cal HR case number E210004 Mia Eddington.
All right, is there any public comment on this? I know we have that delay. We have no one in the audience, but because we do have a few minute delay, I do see a different phone number on there. If you're listening, press star 9 and we'll wait. Yes, unfortunately, we have like a 3-minute or so delay right now between verbal and audio.
I think it's about 1.5 minutes.
Okay, for you, because in the other room, they're saying it's like, it's gone somewhere between 3 and 5 today, but
Oh, my goodness.
I know. All right, I don't see a hand raising, so we will adjourn to closed session. And which room are we going to? A, okay. Okay, just says adjourn still. Okay. All right, well, welcome back, or welcome for the first time. I'd like to first go to County Council for a report out of closed session.
Yes, thank you, Chair. On items M1 through M4, there is no reportable action.
All right, thank you. And so, wanted to explain why it looks a little sparse up here. We do have one supervisor that is zooming in, and another had to leave to get to, and he had, unfortunately, he had a complication, so he had to leave. So, but we've got 3 in 1, so you still have most of us. I just feel bad that you guys, it's nice to see an audience. So thanks for actually being here in person. So normally we do public comment on non-agenda items by going to the phone first, but we've had a lot of time delay. So I'm going to go to those in the in person in the audience first, and once everyone's done there, we'll go to those on the phone. And so if you are on the phone and you're listening and you do want to comment on non-agenda items, I suggest you press star 9 now because there's a significant time delay. So hopefully, okay, I see one hand going up. So we do have the sign-in list. And like the usual process, I think I'll probably call 3 people. You can get to the side of the room, and that way we can move more quickly if possible. So the first 3 speakers would be Antoinette Skiles, Vivian Deniston, and Dora Garcia. Does that sound right? Okay, and we do have a strict 3-minute limit, and I think the clock is behind my head. Right? Okay. So, welcome. Welcome, Antoinette.
Hello, Antoinette Skiles. Am I on? I can barely hear you.
Yes.
Okay. Well, as you know, we're starting a new year, and thank goodness for this COVID ending because it's pretty hard on all of us lately, these last couple of years or so. First, I want to take the time to thank all these in the audience that come, because as caregivers, as we know, it is not easy to leave your job and just stop doing what you're doing and come here and hopefully be listened to and heard. So I thank everybody for showing up. I mean, it's a great turnout. I could say for the other side, but I know you're there somewhere. But you know, I want to start everybody to realize what the home care does. And some of you know and some of you don't. But if you don't, just take a day in our shoes, follow one around, ask any one of us at any time a day what we do and how long we do it. Because, you know, there's a time where people go to job from 8, 5 to 8, whatever, the hours, and they have one person, one job to go to. I never thought in my lifetime that I'd have 5 people that I'm taking care of all week. You know, I have to juggle them, but it's worth it to me to keep them at home, to keep them safe as I can possibly keep them. And that's what I'm doing now today, which it sounds crazy. Like, I just got a person way out in Rio Del. I'll only have her 1 day a week, but I am willing to go there 1 day a week to relieve her family so she's at home where she belongs. So I just want everybody to take note of that, and those that aren't here today, definitely take note of that. And I'm going to go ahead and not use all my 3 minutes because everybody is here, like I said, on the spur of the moment, but this is a very important cause. Thank you.
Thank you, Antoinette. And before Vivian comes up, do we have the notification when we have 30 seconds left, just in case? I'll start that myself. Okay, thank you. Welcome. This is only our first month, I don't know, month and a half now? Oh my gosh, 4th meeting in here. Welcome.
It's wonderful to be back. Hello, my name is Vivian Denniston, and I reside in District 4. And I am a proud member of my union, SEIU 2015. I'm also the Regional Vice President for Region 6. And I am a IHSS care provider with permission, I will say, for my daughter, Sarah. I have been a care provider for her for almost 18 years. SEIU is, supports one of the largest workforce in the county and the largest workforce in the state of California. So we worked through the pandemic. None of our clients went without care, even though a lot of our workers had to go to work without proper protective gear. And our pay is low. We have no medical insurance. Our wages are low. We're not reimbursed for driving to Rio Del. That's on us. Our clients, they can't afford to pay our gas either. But we do our jobs safely. We're reliable. And it's time for us to be paid our worth. And I think most of you know our contract was up in December, and we're very optimistic that we're going to have a great negotiation. We look forward to meeting again with all of you when it's possible, hopefully in the very near future, to thank you for that raise, and our families will thank you. So great to see all of you, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Vivian. And so next we have Dora, followed by Irma, or together? No? Okay, thank you. All right, welcome.
Mi nombre es Dora García.
My name is Dora Garcia.
Y estoy trabajando para HSS por 2 años.
I've been working for HSS for 2 years.
Estoy muy contenta de trabajar para HSS.
I am very pleased to work for this program, the HSS.
Porque siento que estoy haciendo algo muy importante.
I feel that I'm doing a good job, very important job.
Cuando miro a estas personas bien contentas, porque antes de eso estaban bien tristes y no tenían quien nos ayudara.
When I see that these people that I work for are very happy, they were super sad, very sad before I got there because they miss being with someone.
Y después de eso, pues siento que mi trabajo es muy importante y todo está súper bien.
I feel that my job is very important. Everything is very well with the people I care for.
Lo único que no me gusta es que no tengo beneficios, no tengo aseguranza.
The only thing that I don't like is the fact that I don't have benefits, I don't have insurance.
Y lo que gano pues es poco porque tengo que usar mi propio carro y el gas, todo es muy caro.
And my wages are very low. Often I have to, I use my car and I use my own gas to transport these folks.
Y pues he llegado a pensar en no trabajar más para estas personas.
At times, I feel like I want to walk out, go find me another job.
Especialmente por la aseguranza.
Especially to gain benefits like insurance.
Porque no tengo, no califico para medical, no califico para aseguranza.
Because I don't qualify for medical, I don't qualify for.
Y no he ido al doctor por 2-3 años.
I can't afford a good insurance and I have not been to the doctors in the last 3 years.
Lo bueno que no me he enfermado.
The good thing is that I haven't gotten sick.
Pero ahorita estoy trabajando para mis papás y quiero trabajar para ellos porque son mis papás.
Right now, I am working for my parents. I want to continue to work for my parents because these are my parents.
Porque quiero que me duren más años.
Because I want them to have a good life. I want them to last a long time.
So, para este programa todavía.
So I want to work for this program. ¿Qué consideran algo más?
Pienso que es tiempo de que pues, nos paguen 20.
I feel that it's time that we get paid 20.
Creo que es todo. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well, and thank you.
You're welcome.
Right, so that's right. I forgot about that. Good job, Vivian. All right, so our next three speakers, and anyone else who wants to speak, if you want to just get to the side of the room, then that'll make it a little easier and to move more quickly. So we've got Alejandra, and we have Irma.
Hi, my name is Irma Garcia.
Oh, Irma Garcia. Alejandra is next.
Okay, thank you.
Irma Garcia.
Yeah, is mom de Alejandro Ortiz.
And my son is Alejandro Ortiz.
And yo trabajo para mi niño.
I work for my child.
Y estoy muy contenta con el programa de, ¿cómo se llama?
IHSS.
IHSS.
I am very happy with the IHSS program.
Pero lo que también veo que necesito es como una aseguranza y no la tengo.
But I would like to have an insurance, but we don't have insurance, health insurance.
Y pues me gustaría que nos aumentaran a 20.
And I would like, I'm requesting, I beg that you raise our wages to $20.
Lo que pasa que yo nunca he podido trabajar en otro trabajo porque mi hijo no es feliz con otras personas, quiere estar conmigo siempre y duerme conmigo todo el tiempo.
I have never been able to work elsewhere aside from taking care of my son. My son would not be in a better place than with me. My son is very happy to be with me, and I'm happy to take care of my son.
Siempre cuando se va a un programa que él va en el día, siempre se asegura de que yo no me vaya a ningún lado, que esté en la casa.
When he goes to a different program or a day program, he leaves sad, and he's always waiting eagerly to see me.
Ya, es todo. Creo que sí.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So do we now have Alejandra? Does that sound right? Followed by Katie and then Malia. If I'm close. All right. Well, we want to know your name too, though.
My name?
Yeah.
Luisa.
Luisa,
Costa.
thank you. Thanks for being here today.
You bet.
Hola a todos, mi nombre es Alejandra.
Hello to everyone. My name is Alejandra.
Yo cuido a mi hijo.
I take care of my son.
Y
¿Qué edad tiene?
mi hijo tiene 16 años.
My son is 16 years old.
Tengo como 13 años cuidándolo, trabajando para él.
I have been taking care of my son for 13 years, working for him.
Y también estoy pidiendo, ¿verdad? si se puede, ¿verdad? Un mejor salario.
I'm also here to ask for a better salary, if possible.
Mi hijo está, cuando era más chico no era tan, era muy calmado.
When my son was younger, he was a very calm boy,
Pero cuando cumplió como 10 años,
but when he turned 10,
cambió su temperamento.
his actions and attitude change and temper.
Y es más difícil cuidarlo, pues, pero
It's more difficult to care for him nowadays
porque no quiere que otras personas lo cuiden.
because he doesn't want anybody else to care for him.
Y yo tenía un trabajo antes, pero pues llamaban de la escuela para decir que pues tiene que venir por su hijo porque está muy inquieto.
I had another job, but often I would get called from the school demanding that I go pick him up because of his behavior, and often I had to leave my work.
Y pues por esa razón también dejé mi trabajo porque pues personas no lo quieren cuidar así.
And for that matter, I was forced to leave my other job as the school was not able to handle my son, didn't know how to handle it, and so I had to give up my job to care for my son.
Y pues sí, y pues y eso es todo, ¿verdad? Que sí quisiera que nos aumentaran más, ¿verdad? Porque pues ¿quién más que uno para cuidar a sus hijos?
I'm here to request that you consider giving us a raise. Who could best take care of our children but their own parents?
Porque hay personas que cuidan a sus hijos, pero no como uno, pero
But there's people out there that take care of, children with disabilities, but who could be better than their own parents?
Y pues eso es todo, gracias.
I thank you. That's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And welcome, Katie. And following you will be, I think, Malia. Is there a Malia there in the audience? No, it looks like Millia Martinez.
Oh, that's me.
Okay, well, you'll be after Katie.
Millie.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't sure.
Fine, no worries, that's fine.
Can you, Milia? I couldn't,
So I'm Katie Coventry, and I've been an IHSS worker for many years. I originally started out to be a school teacher, and it just so happened that the year that I graduated and got my credential, there was a huge layoff. Three schools in Eureka had laid off teachers. The two schools that I student taught had also laid off teachers. So I needed to look for some other type of work. I had a friend that was a social worker, and she says, I have 2 retired teachers that need help. And so I became their IHSS workers. They wanted to be able to stay home, and the only way they would be able to stay home is if they had help. I also feel that I've worked for many people throughout the years, but it's not enough just to do the work. As people often see me, I've also been do things at Safeway. Right now, due to the pandemic, I'm unable to work at Safeway because I'm unable to give out samples, and that was part of my job. You've also often seen me working as extra help at the election office, but working as extra help, there still is no benefits. There's no benefits in IHSS, there's no medical, there's no dental, there's no benefits at all. The people that I'm currently working for now, if it wasn't for me being able to help these people in the community, they would not be part of the community in a nursing home. A couple of the people that I take care of feel, one in particular worked at the hospital for many years and then was unable to. A way for her and my other client that both give back is they both are quilters. I'm also a quilter. One way of giving back is they make these quilts and then they donate them in the community, whether they go to the hospitals, dialysis patients. They're currently also making quilts right now that are actually going to Ukraine for the people over in Ukraine. So I think it's very important that people be able to stay in their homes and have a way to be part of the community and also give back. Without that giving back, we're not part of the community. And this way, they can also be part of the community, go to the different things, spend what little money they have, and be part of the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Katie. And Millie, sorry about that. And if anyone else is interested in speaking, now would be the time to stand at the side of the room. And if you're listening online and you, there's only 2 call-in phone, okay. Welcome, Millie.
Good afternoon, Board of Supervisors. Thank you very much for this time. And my name is Millie Martinez, and I'm a resident of Shasta County. And I'm here today, actually I drove last night with my disabled mother and my dad, who is 84 years old. Also that I take care of my mother. I don't get paid for my dad yet because he didn't qualify yet, but we are working on it. So anyway, so the reason why we are here is to stand with our brothers and sisters and also with our communities. We actually deserve, and what we are asking is to support and stand for the 5 for 20. So we're gonna start doing this, and we wanted to make this because it's really worth it. We deserve to get rewarded for $20. The cost of living, as you all know, after the pandemic, it been really, really difficult. We've been struggling a lot with the money financially. And also a lot of my coworkers with the health insurance, we don't have any benefits at all. And myself, I got 3 times COVID. Even though if I am vaccinated, got my booster last year in October, I got twice COVID-19. And fortunately, thanks God, I qualify for medical because I take care of my mother, and it doesn't count against me, but a lot of my coworkers, they don't. So please support your community, stand with us statewide also to make $20 an hour. Like I say, the cost of living is really, really high right now. To get the gas, to take my mother, she has a liver cancer. We have to drive so many times for the chemotherapies, physical therapies, because she can't walk, she can't do anything. And after the chemotherapies, she's completely down. We have to do everything for her. So we really deserve that. So please support your community, support my brothers and sisters, and thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Millie. Hi, welcome.
Good afternoon. My name is Madeline Kaufman. I'm from Glenn County, Region 6 for the SCIU 2015. I, at this moment, am taking care of my son as his care provider through protection supervision services because of his behavioral issues. But in 2007, I started off as a CNA, and I worked as a CNA in multiple facilities, doing registry, traveling to different facilities until about 2011, and then took a break, went back to school. But then grandma got sick, was on dialysis, and hospice started having to kick in, and I was the only one in my family with the medical background. So I decided to join IHSS again, and I took care of my grandmother and had the honor of being there all the way up until the end. And it was such a beautiful, beautiful experience to be able to be there with your loved one and help them pass. And then my son got diagnosed with a couple different mental health illnesses, and we were able to get services through IHSS, and it has been such a blessing. And from what I'm noticing, being a part of the union, it has been so empowering to show us our voices and to show that we as people in the community have a right to approach the people that are making the decisions in our community, and to encourage you guys and inspire you guys to really work with us. And so the wage is being requested all over California in every county, $20 a wage for caregivers. And it's becoming a tidal wave. It's becoming a movement where it's happening left and right in every county. And my question to you guys is, are you gonna surf the tidal wave? Are we gonna swim together? Or are we gonna not work together? Some counties do, some counties don't. I'm excited to see what happens in Eureka County. I'm honored. Glenn County has begun to even start contracts. So this has been great experience, great practice for us. So thank you for your time, and I just appreciate everything that you guys are doing and being willing to accept us. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Madeline. That's a long drive, too. Come on forward. And if anyone else who may want to speak, just stand at the side of the room, and come up to the podium, and then you'll have your 3 minutes. Welcome.
Hello. My name is Mark Carpenter, and I'm from Lake County. And we have thousands of workers over there. And the same thing, we don't get medical or anything. And I've been taken care of. I've been a healthcare provider for years with IHSS for maybe 7.5 years. And it's not easy. My client now, I only work part-time because of health issues. But my client right now, she's a very hard person to care for. And I'm pretty much on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. She'll call me up at 10 o'clock at night and need something. And half the time it's for a ride. And the gas isn't cheap now. They're gouging us. And we just need to get a better wage and living increase. $15 an hour it's good, but it just doesn't quite cut it. And I ask that everybody support us in Lake County as well as the other regions and come together and fight the fight together. Maybe one day we'll be able to win. I don't know. But I just wanted to come up and give my opinion and tell you I do know how it is. I've worked in group homes where I've taken care of 7 or 8 clients at a time by myself, all in wheelchairs. I had to get them up, had to put them down, had to give them showers. It's not easy, and of all stages. So I guess that's all I have to say.
All right, thank you, Mark. Anyone else care to make public comment at this time that's in the audience? Because once we go to the phone, we won't come back to the audience. So everyone's sure that they're, okay, all right. Well, thank you all for being here. And so we do have a couple hands up. While folks are filing out of the room, we'll... yeah,
Just a
thank you.
hello to everybody who was there in the audience. I saw you, I heard you, and thank you very much.
Oh, that's right. They couldn't see you. I told them you were here.
Yeah. And I saw some familiar faces, so it's always good to see you again.
Yeah. All right, so going to the, we have 2. If you are listening and you wish to call in now to make public comment on non-agenda items, this would be the time, and press *9. We have 2. I'll go first with 0116. Hello, welcome.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, Ash, welcome.
Hello, my name is Ash Teeter with the Humboldt Freedom Coalition, HumboldtSC.com, speaking on non-agenda items. 14 days to flatten the curve quickly morphed into an anthemia to the principles upon which our republic was founded. The lies and manipulation have resulted in an economic crisis, a mental health crisis, the erosion of freedoms fundamental to all Americans. A stream of media, healthcare, the pharmaceutical industry has successfully perpetrated the greatest fraud in the history of the world. Not to say the virus is not real or does not kill people, just that it's similar to what we see every year with flu, with multiple other deaths being switched into a different category. Recently, I submitted an information request to the county asking for records for the COVID vaccination status of all deaths since the shots were made available to the public. I was astonished to find that the Department of Health and Human Services is not keeping track of this by their own admission. This is both careless and frightening. That those experimental medicines still under emergency use authorization are not being tracked on the impact they have on the health and well-being of our community. The frightening fact is that these treatments being called vaccines have killed more people than all other vaccines in recorded history. The blind trust that our county places on state and federal data and recommendations is careless, irresponsible, and dangerous. If the leadership at the Department of Health and Human Services is failing the community in such an obvious responsibility of tracking the impact of the very treatment that they are recommending everyone take, then new leadership is needed. I know the world is crazy, complicated, and scary, but we still need to do our own due diligence before taking the final scoops of the corporate punch bowl in this cult of COVID compliance. Please, for the sake of the county and city employees being leveraged with their jobs to test or get shots, for all the kids in schools being forced to stick swabs with dangerous chemicals up their nose on a daily basis, please, for the love of God and country, demand that the DHHS looks into the impact that these shots are having on our local mortality. It is a tragedy when anyone dies, but do the right thing and demand that records be taken on the vax status for each individual that leaves our community going forward. We must know for our own well-being and for our very future. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, timed that one perfectly. All right, so, and the last hand we have up is 0150. If you'd like to comment on items not on the agenda. Just press *6 to unmute.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. This is Dottie Russell. Hi. So I just wanted to say that I know you're sick to death of hearing about the abatement and everything, but we have gotten 2 more abatements, as you probably know, and we are doing the best that we can. We have relocated people. We have an inspection coming on Friday. Graham has a blood pressure right now today of 180, and I really don't want him to die because we're screwing around with these abatements. So if you could give us a little bit of flack, we've relocated everybody that needed to be relocated. There was a composting toilet. We took that out. We had some washing machines and a couple cars that weren't running, and they've been taken care of. So if somehow you could just, help us through the process to just get through this. We're doing the best that we can. It's been very hard trying to get rid of a lot of things, particularly from the trailer park. It's very expensive, and when somebody comes through the county to get a place to live, when they leave all of their belongings and their trailers because they're given a place to live that's a house instead of a trailer. So we're stuck with all the stuff, and it's mind-boggling, overwhelming. We're doing the best that we can, and we want you to work with us. And I also wanted you to know that I did talk to Rex Bohn about if we could put the lien that's on the Christian Science Church from the McCullough drama, if that could be put on the Christian Science reading room so that we could sell the church and get out from under that and make that go away. And he said that he would not support that. So I tried to come up with what I could so that we could get some money and get things going, but also provide housing because we have housing needs down here. We have a webinar coming, I think, in 2 days about ADUs and how to build them, but we had somebody for $400 a month living in a travel trailer with a little ADU next to it, and we were told that they had to be relocated, that he wasn't allowed to live there with a composting toilet. So he's moving, and we're relocating everybody we can, and we're cutting back on who's going to be renting at the trailer park as well, because we can't take care of trailers when they get left behind when people get permanent housing. So we're doing the best we can, and we hope that you'll work with us. Thank you. Bye.
All right, thank you, Dottie. And there are no hands up, so we're back to the board, and we're done for the day. So we'll be back Monday afternoon, though, right? For budget hearing? No, budget reports. Monday, yeah. All right, so we're adjourned.